All right, hello people. Welcome back. Don't even know what to name this. It's just something that I'm being called to record and then decide what to do with it. That has been the foundation of how I've turned my personal brand into a global empire that is on purpose, that really allows God to just speak through me. And that's the foundation of Business of Being You framework, where what I always advise my clients, my students, or anyone that comes through that space is when there is this aliveness, when there is this life force that is running through you that wants to be spoken. Sometimes your human mind don't understand, but what I always suggest is create it, to document it, and then you can decide when you choose to share this. Because the caveat of that is, there is a big difference between sharing an open wound and sharing a scar. Your scar is your greatest gift, and your scar is your message, and your scar is what makes your story unique. And your wound, on the other hand, what I've learned personally through, being on the internet for the last 15 years, really having people see through my entire transition and transformation, is that there is such thing as sharing prematurely. And what that ended up becoming is it ended up kind of corrupting, or it influenced your own journey and process of that said experience before it is ready to be shared with the world. So that is something to keep in mind. And part of the whole thing is just practicing what I preach. And I guess this is where the flow of the message wants to go through is, when you are confused as to what to share, when you are creatively constipated, it really comes down to what is the lesson that is very alive for me right now. And if you have been a seasoned entrepreneur, if you have been in this space for a while, you've gone through massive life, death, rebirth, you have gone through various transitions through different periods of your life. Some of you have quit your job, some of you have became millionaires, some of you became moms, some of you have divorced. Life happens. We're human, right? And part of being a leader, part of, being a messenger in this space in personal development and transformation and expansion of growth and excellence is how can we take people through this journey? How can we take people through the transformation, teach what we learn? Because really the only thing that you should be teaching is the one that you've experienced before, right? Not a textbook thing, not something from ChatGPT. It's the thing that only you can, it's a story that only you can tell. And so what I was trying to come about that is when you are lost or when you don't know how to find that fire again, it's really sharing what's alive for you and why does it matter to you people. And so I'm going to give a TLDR, and why I'm so excited about this is because the last 2024 has really been a renewal journey for me, after feeling like I have given my power away to a lot of different things, as you grow. And this year is the year where God has been at the back of, it has always been something that I believe in, in the sense of there is a greater power, there's greater, the creator. But I think I relate more to God, to Jesus, probably in the last year or so. And it's still a really fresh relationship that I have, and I'm still learning how to navigate that. But this year particularly has really been that journey. And, there are a lot of health problems. And what I see, when I see health problems, when I see pain in our body, really is just a sort of information in which we need to look at. It's a source of information of what needs to be faced, what needs to be transmuted, what needs to be given what needs to be given attention to. So long story short, where am I today? So I have been traveling, and yesterday I just had this massive pain in my lower back, my right lower back to be exact. And I knew it was something energetic because I have been practicing yoga for 5 years, and I know my flexibility, and I know how my body functions, and I know how it feels. But for some reasons, yesterday it was just like, it feels like a pinched nerve that I couldn't quite explain it. And it was very hard, and it was weighing me down. And I was like, all right, I'm like, it does what it needs to do. And I know that I have been releasing a lot of things. It was the Pisces full moon and the pre-eclipse portal. Personally, I have always been attuned to the eclipse portal and the energy of that, and closing and opening new chapters. It's something that comes intuitively to me. I don't overthink that anymore. And also I don't give like excessive power away of like, oh my God, it's the eclipse portal, my entire world is falling down, and like just go on and on with that. So that happened, and I like my life has been like on this upward trajectory, like at an insane speed for the last month, after preparing for it through the entire year. Renewal, preparing for it, momentum coming through. So that's really the theme of what's been going on in my life. And when I felt that pain, I was like, God, it's something that like it's being moved through. Like I can't control this. And one thing that I've learned after navigating through this healing journey for such a long time, and also really working with the supernatural power of God, of something that's greater than me, is as I expand, there's always things that I need to let go of. And sometimes it's a mindset things, but the ones that are holding me back usually is something that is visceral, whether it's something that I need to process, something that I need to like really consistently reprogramming like my belief, and like, no, I'm letting it go. No, I'm not available for this anymore. No, I'm not allowing, I'm not consenting to this. It's just repeating a lot of these words, because words are spell, right? And if you have been on this journey for a while, if you've been on this seeking journey for a while, you would have known that like there might be modalities, there might be spells, there might be agreement that you've gotten into at a different phase of your life that serves that particular chapter of your life. And without consciously going, that chapter is closed, I'm unplugging from all of that timeline, I'm breaking that spell. What I want at that time, it's not what I want now. And I ask for all of this to be closed. I let it go. And it's something that you should like say it in spoken word or write in your journal. It's like that intention of like, that agreement is ending now, and I'm creating a whole new agreement of where I'm going in the future. So it's woo-woo, but it's also really, really practical. So that's what has been happening a lot behind the scenes. And so back to where I was. So I came back, I was traveling, and the back of my spine was hurting. Like when I tried to explain to my parents about that, it was like I know it's an energetic thing. And to go deeper, like I have my Kundalini awaken, and I feel like 5 years later, I know how to ride with this energy. So there's a lot of these different things that most people don't understand. And something that I've learned and been humbled to is to not try to explain to people of all these experiences that I've went through in the hope that they would understand, in the hope that they would get it, or in the hope of like, oh my God, this experience is so good, you really got to do it. But simply it's just, well, this is what I'm going through. I know it's an energetic thing. And for me personally, I felt like it was, after the renewal, it's almost like this new posture that I'm being put into, because there are only certain ways that I'm like sitting up and breathing that like I just completely can't feel the pain. But the moment I move like 1 millimeter forward, like I feel that throbbing pain on my spine. I was like, so I feel it's like that confidence, that audacity, that empowerment of who God has created me to be, that I have lost touch for a few years. And it was very hard to come out of that. And I know that if you're watching this, if you're being called to this video, if you're being called to this transmission, it really is, you might have gone through certain, challenges, life thingamajig, that you have lost that spark, that you have lost that audacity, that you have lost that part of you that made you you. And I see that happening a lot in the like spiritual coaching creator space, where a lot of us have lost our voice, or, you know, there has been a lot of like entanglement of what is truth, like the ultimate truth, and what has been like infused with a lot of unnecessary distractions and opinions and modality that really is there as a distraction to take us away from our truth, from our power, from what we're here to do. And I think that this is the message that really wants to come through, because I feel like it's, you know, I've been through that journey, and the mentors that I've worked with, it's around that as well. And that is what fueled this conversation, is that back to the pain, because that was the thing that I'm like, this needs to go out. So I have that pain, like it literally was like posturing me now, like I'm not even like, you know, oh fuck. So like now I can feel it. It's like, it's holding me straight, anchored to the core of who I am, and not get distracted, and to not get pulled forth to different directions, and knowing that I'm anchored in this truth no matter where I am. Because one thing that I've noticed in myself with my spirituality, with my relationship with God, with my relationship to nature, to divine, however it is that looks like for you, it has always been conditional. So I have to be in a certain place to feel that. And then on the other end of that becomes an identity that I like cling on to, that like, I am so spiritual, so I gotta do all these different things, or I can't do these different things. And part of that is I can't be my real savage, authentic part of me that just says things as it is without worrying if like someone else is gonna get triggered, or like, you know, because I'm so compassionate now that, you know, am I being not spiritual enough? Am I not being love enough? And like, you know, all these different things that has like really like choke me on the throat. That thing, you know, my kink and my sexual innuendos probably wouldn't go away. That I lost my voice, that I become so soft, and it's not the good way, because, you know, I'm a woman, so I like to be soft and tender. But that softness is not a good softness. It's me not speaking my truth anymore. And we go through those seasons, right? When our beliefs change, when our truth evolves, when we are being shown more than what we previously have. So it's all part of the journey. And so back to what I was saying, is that this is something that I've seen a lot in the industry, in different leaders. And if you're in that phase of like redeveloping your voice and fine-tuning your voice of what's truth, of what is your key message of you wanting to share with the world, know that it's okay. It's part of the journey. So back to my back pain that is like really posturing me as this leader of this new level that I'm stepping into. I was listening. So today I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a day off to just relax and do nothing. I feel like I go through these moments where I just need to like hibernate for 13 hours because like I've just channeled a lot, like, you know how it works. So today that was the intention. And I was just going through some of the trainings from one of the mentors that I work with that I haven't really followed for a while. It was just this nudge of like, go listen to that. And lo and behold, it's everything that I know I needed. It's everything that I know that I needed to hear. And it was just similar to what I'm transmitting with you. It's that remembrance of how I'm not here to fit into a mold, that I'm not here to share what's basic, that I'm not here to just like say what everyone else is saying. Like, I'm not here to be a parrot. And the second part of that is, I think what I also resonated a lot with, you know, I'm like polarized by nature just because of who I am. Like, I'm just not basic. I don't do the normal things. My normal makes absolutely no sense to people. I have a big personality. Yes, I'm sensitive, but that is reserved for very few people that are close to me. So like, I'm polarized by nature. And one of the things that I'm really intentionally doing or not do now is I don't want to be polarized just for the sake of polarizing, to be on the internet. Yes, marketing 101 is like, you have to have a stance. You have to stand for something. But I refuse to stand for something in the name of tearing someone else's down. I refuse to argue for the sake of arguing. I went through a moment of that where I'm just like challenging everything that people are saying. Like, I'm like, no, this is wrong. Like, you know, like me needing to be right, to be different was very important to me. And that was how I actually connected with a lot of my soul aligned clients. And, you know, it was a season of that. And so when I went through my maturity, when I went through my maiden to mother, like transformation, when I mature as a leader, as a speaker, as a messenger, is that, like, am I trying to be right? Am I trying to force on and like what my perspective? Am I trying to prove a point? Or am I sharing because it's something that I can't share? Like today, it's like, I just really need to talk about it. And when I think back when my business was like peaking, was at its best, and it feels like flow and it feels easy, yet like I'm anchored, is when I share from a place, my womb, my heart, my throat is connected. I share from a place of groundedness. Yes, there's power. Yes, there's certainty, but I'm not trying to stir shit up. Right. And I think that we all, especially as women, we go through our seasons of needing to stand up for ourselves, to fight for our words, to fight for our voice, because we weren't given that up until now. Right. In the entire history of humanity, like women, this is the first time women were given a voice. Women gets to make fuck ton of money with limitless earning potential with our voice. Right? And this is why having like an anchor, which is, you know, a relationship with God, is so important, because we are ultimately only human, right? Sometimes even if, you know, if you're watching this, you are a person who lives in integrity, who lives in alignment, who really honors the truth. But even then, we are humans. Sometimes that compass might get distracted, might sway to some other places. And that's when God interferes and do the renewal and do all the thing that it needs to be done. Right? So there are all these different moments, and it's just the moment of coming back to what needs to, like, what's real and what's true. And so I was listening to my mentor's training, right? And I was just like thinking, like absorbing and doing the thing. And then suddenly it just felt like the pain's gone. Like it's not holding me anymore. So how do I know that? Like I could not even bend over. You know, if you do yoga, it's that pose of forward fold. And I love doing that. And I do that to decompress almost on a daily basis. The last 2 days, however, like I try to do that. Like I feel like I'm like something, like it was just so tight. And I don't know if it's that, or it could be just a general, like it's just a supernatural thing, right? So there's 2 points that I want to bring to this. One of them, like what has really stand out for me, it's let it go. Like let go of any notions of what I think I need to do in order to create the results I want. I create the results I want because I decide the results that I want, and because I am being shown, you know, like I decide that I create the results I want because that's a part of who I am, because that's God working through me. And it's still a journey that I'm learning through. And that was the biggest lesson that I learned from that training, is that I need to let go of needing to figure out everything on my own. And that has been a journey of mine. I'm the oldest child. I am Asian. There's a lot of things that comes with familial responsibility and all of that. And, you know, what I noticed that I journal a lot on is, the 2 things that I always journal upon is like, it feels like I have this massive vision that I'm holding that feels like it gets me so excited. But then at the same time, I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to do it? Like, I can't do this alone. I can't do this anymore. And the second part of that is I want to feel supported. I want to feel supported. And I think that's the 2 things that I have really been battling. And the key message from that is, how can I fully hand it over to God? And I know that I've done that in different realms, but this time it's like this massive vision that comes through me. And I know that if you're watching this, you are a woman with great vision that you feel inside of you. And whether it is that you have brought it to life and it's kind of in this transition phase, or it's something that you know you're meant to be brought to life, but there's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of like things of needing to figure things out to get it right, to know the 10 fucking steps to get there before you actually unleash it to the world, when really the only step that you have is what's in front of you. It's that one step that you need to do right now. And so that was something that I think took like massive energetic block away from my like pain. Like I listened to that, I wasn't even doing anything, I literally was just receiving the transmission. And why it prompted me to do this is because, you know, when I was at the peak of really transmitting what was meant to come through in a way that's solid, that's not like wobbly and like, you know, all over the place, was around 2020 to 2021. And that was when I, like, you know, when I experienced that pain just miraculously like transmuted, or it just like was gone. And it reminded me of when I did this work. Like I wasn't trying to do the work, I was just sharing what needs to be shared. And I have people who are like, wow, like there's this pain that has dissipated from me. I've like, you've just removed this from me. And I'm like, how the fuck do I do that? I still don't know how the fuck do I do that. But then I know like it's a transmission of work, right? Because I was working with this mentor for a while during that time, and I was doing that, I was consistent with that. I wasn't overthinking that. I was just being a conduit of this work. And somehow, obviously, I got into the way of like, I gotta be more spiritual to make sure this work continues to come through. Like, come on. Like, it just comes through when I'm just a channel. And when it wants to come through, you let it through, because if you don't, then it becomes a block. Because, you know, like a pipe, right? Like the water is just flowing. But if you're not allowing it to flow, you blocked it, thinking, oh, I don't have this thing in place. Oh no, I can't do that. Oh yes, no, like all the things that are coming through that you don't really know, like you don't know what the next step is, when your only next step is just to be the vessel and speak it out. And then the next step would be shown as like, what do I do with this video, and how you actually end up seeing this video, it would be shown to me. That's the level of trust, and that's the level of certainty that comes from trusting and like, I have no fucking idea how this gets to go. And the best thing about this is what comes through from that is it's next level, because when God's working through you, it always goes beyond what your mind can ever comprehend. Because if my mind can comprehend, if my mind knows the steps, then I would have already done it. Then I'm already interfering the flow of supernatural God flow, or God's frequency is what I call it. And so I just have this, like, I was just connecting the dots again, because I was like, wow, that was what I was doing. But in all hindsight, I don't really know what I'm doing, because I wasn't really doing it. I was just speaking, sharing what's meant to be shared. And this was the exact thing that was happening to me, because it was so obvious. It was so clear that I was in this pain. And, you know, my mom, you know, bless her, she went to get me some muscle relaxant. And I was like, Mom, it's not muscle. Like, it's not muscle. I knew it was an energetic thing. And really, like now, like I can move, like it's fucking insane. Like I booked in a massage in about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, like infrared massage, because I'm like, I need to fix this. Like it was like, so I do yin yoga. I've been a yoga practitioner for 5 years. So flexibility and all of that is not a problem. And I know my body well. That's why it's so insane. And right now, like it literally, I mean, there's still some like soreness, but it wasn't like tight. Like yesterday, literally, I laughed, like, you know, I was just laughing. I was like, oh my God, I can't. Like it was such a pinched nerve. And I was lying down this morning. I woke up, even when I was lying down, I was trying to sit up straight, and which just wasn't working, and it's gone. And so I was going to text my mentor about that, which I will, because, you know, as a I don't want to call channel, because I feel like I called that for a while and became something like, you know, as a messenger, as a leader, to share my work of what wants to come through. Like I love receiving those messages, right? And I think part of what I was trying to do like the past 8 months was trying to recreate that scenario on how I make the most impact and make the most money. And I'm like, how do I be the person that activates the power of others again? And you know what it is? I get to activate it in other people when I activate myself, when I stand, walk, live in my power. And the power is not from me. It's not something that I have to generate or self-source through a lot of like my practices and all these sexual thing that I used to love doing. But to remember that I have this power because I trust in God's power, because I don't have a doubt of how God is working through me. Because when I look back on this, a lot of like the clients that I've had, like it makes no sense. And I think in my attempt of trying to set a solid foundation in my business, which you should, because I want my business to run on its own, and again, it's being shown by God. But then my creative expression, my channel, what wants to come through me, that is a free fucking flow. Like there is nothing that's in the way of that. So there's no way that I can actually make sense of how I want to put this into a sentence. And so it's really, you know, I feel like that mentor for me has been the one that gave me the permission. And I know that when I'm in my power, that's the greatest gift that I bring for people, is the permission to like just be you, the permission for you to like really claim your big personality, your permission to take up space. I tried this multiple times, like especially last week, right? I was just having normal conversation with someone I just met, and a lot of these are like really like successful high level people. And the reason why I bring that to you also is I think we have this expectation in our head, whether it's God or someone of higher power, like, oh my God, they're on the pedestal, I better be a good girl, I better be like proper, I better like speak properly, and then I would, you know, then that I would be on the same level of them as them. But I have, you know, like I have met incredible like successful people, and what I realize is they're just human like you and I. And that was one of the biggest lessons I've learned in my healing journey, is that when you're healing, when you're connecting to God, when you're dealing with a lot of these beyond the mind, supernatural consciousness stuff, is that everyone is equal. Like your BMW, your Porsche, your $1 million in your bank account mean jack shit when you're in communion with God, when you're in communion with a greater power that's within you. Right? So like that's how you're meant to have conversations. And that was what I was good at. I don't know how many of y'all remember the times when I just say things as it is, because hello, I'm back and it's good to be back. Right? And it's just a permission to say what's inside of you. And it doesn't need to have an outcome. It's just a part of our human experience. It's just a part of our stories. And I was talking to these people and they just share things with me that they were like, how am I even telling you this? Like what I tell you is what I never told anyone else besides in my head. Like I'm not even trying. I'm just like, so what the feedback that I got is I make it so normal that I just talk about anything. God, sex, whatever, business, money. And that's part of the key of when you neutralize everything, when you don't give excessive charge to something. Like you just are polarizing because you're just sharing your truth. You're not trying to stir shit up. You're not trying to add it to like get the effect, because who you are is already polarizing just by you being you. Right? And that's the greatest lesson that I've learned from that mentor. And it's always a remembrance, and it's almost like this ripple effect. Like, okay, now I've been activated. Now I'm passing on through this, and now it ripples out to different people, because her expression and my expression might be very different. What's similar is we do not fit into a box. We are a league of our own. So that's like my miracle story of how I just have to let go of how things should look like, of how I've been trying to make sense of how I'm trying to recreate a result, when really to recreate the result is just me stepping more into who I am, to becoming the me that God has created me to be. And that requires me to really silence down everything and to listen and to clear out any distractions, any distortions of who I think I am or who I think I need to be in order to get that thing that I want to get. When really it's that thing is already mine. It's already here. It's already like it's in me, that I just need to allow that to guide me. And that's the key of breaking out of that energetic urgency of like, oh my God, I need to get there. oh my God, why am I still not there yet? And it's always like wanting and like seeking and like never ending, and it's fucking tiring. And it comes a point where you're like, I really exhaust every fucking options. And if you're listening to these, you're probably high achieving, high performers of like fucking problem solver, because you're an entrepreneur, you're creative, and you're like, I literally have done everything now. Like, what now? Like, just fucking show me. And then that's when that fire, that's when the true power comes through. And it just does not make any sense, because like, I'm being serious, right? Like, I was ready to just lie for the next 48 hours to let my body rest, because I do feel that my body needs to rest. But at the same time, I also feel that I have stretched my capacity in the last 2 months of, yes, I am aware that I need to rest, and I really have gone 200% with my nutrition, with my sleep, with like the health stuff. But also I know that I'm in like the stretching zone. So the more I can stretch myself like an athlete, whilst allowing God to play his part, like, it's fucking unstoppable, because then I'm doing my part, God is meeting me halfway, and we're a team, right? We are co-creating together. It's not like I'm just letting him do the thing or I'm trying to do all the things, but it's a co-creation. It's a flow, and learning how to be okay with that, that's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot. And it's really insane. Like, I can now move again. I mean, I can feel a bit, yeah, this is wild. I would love to know if any of you guys have gone through like all of these stuff that makes no sense. There's this miracle thing that you just feel like it's almost like a layer. It's almost like this, I'm getting the chills saying this. It's almost like something that has been grasping you for, I don't know, all your life, your entire journey of entrepreneurship, something that's just like on you, that is creating physical pain in your body, right? And now if you decide to just let it go and just rest on God and just, I've been playing this song by Carrie Underwood like the past week of like, just Jesus take the wheel, like just be my guest, because you know, like I know what I'm doing, and then I know like what I've been seeing is like, all right, that's what I want to let it go. And then what is being put in front of me, it's always 10x better than what I can imagine. But at the same time, it's like, of course it is, because there's this deep inner knowing that I have. And one of the greatest things that I have really learned to understand this relationship that I have with God is it's this manifested presence of God that is within me and that is supporting me, and it's the power that allows me to stand straight with what I'm here to do, even though I have no fucking idea what's in front of me, right? And I think that what I'm meant to share is that to know that God has always been walking with me, that he has always been there. You know, he has always made himself known in subtle little ways. And I think I was listening to this transmission over the weekend as well, and what it said is God is usually the last one to be made known to us. And at the start, it starts with little whisper. It like God's voice is very light, and it requires you to like really shut everything off to finally hear that. And how that looks like for you, it's different from anyone else, and you need to understand how that line of communication looks like for you, and how can you let go of the expectations on how you think he should communicate with you, because that's the biggest thing that I have to go through. And you know, when I look back, like a big part of my renewal journey really was how God was always there to support me. What I asked for, it's always given, you know. But I think that a big part of that healing journey is knowing that whatever it is that I ask for from the bottom of my heart, and trusting his providership, is that it will be given. And that has rewritten a lot of stories around my childhood of when I asked for my needs, it was never met. So that has really broken out of, like, I really like rewrite that belief, and knowing that he is the one that provides through the people around me. And so knowing that I'm always expecting to get what I ask for, not from a place of entitlement, but from a place of trust, from a place of faith, is what allows me to go further. And the second part of that is there is no such thing as too big of an ask. There is no such thing as too much or too big for God, because the reason why I have all these desires and all these things that are so alive within inside of me is because it was the seed that he has planted in me. And the result and the actual manifestation of that is me becoming the woman that he wants me to be. So obviously it might not look in the way in which I want it to be, but it is the woman that I'm asked to become. It's the consistency, it's that patience, it's that precision, it's that waiting. But it really is just character building and learning how to show up for myself and learning how to be all in with everything that I ask for, with the knowing and expectation that it's going to show up, because God is always there on my side providing, and he's always listening. And so part of what I'm navigating through personally at the moment, I'm learning, is like there's nothing too big for God. If I know that there's nothing that's too big, what would I ask for? Because, that is when it ties up to this inner knowing that I've had growing up, even though I grew up in a small, in Asian education, we're not going into that today. But there is something inside of me that always knew that I was meant for more. And it's not from a place of material excessiveness, because otherwise I would not have walked away from my old life, my perfect life in Sydney, and go on this path. But it's this knowing that there is always more to life than what I already have. And it keeps getting better. And I felt that I've hit a glass ceiling for the last 2 years also. It's because there's this story, it's I've experienced so much of what most people could only dream of in a lifetime. I have not made $1 million, I've made good money. But then what I've experienced more than what a lot of multimillionaires and even billionaires have experienced, right? And what most people can only dream of or can't even, it's beyond their comprehension. I have experienced it. And so I think that in the limitation of my human mind, in the limitation of of what I thought is possible, I was like, oh, I've hit it. So maybe I'm just meant to be chill out. I shouldn't have more, because I also don't want to fit into consumerism. But then as a creator, it's more, it wants to come through me and what I get to create. And, it circles back to what I shared at the start, is that, okay, so now there's this bigger vision, but how the fuck should I do it? Because it's so big. And I think there's this quote that I was being shared last week, is what seems impossible to us is made possible by God. So really it's not me needing to hold the vision, but allowing that vision that is so alive inside of me to hold me, to move me forward, to know that the path forward will always be shown. And so this is for my visionary, especially my manifestors, where you think that I don't have the clarity. You do have the clarity. It's just that the clarity that comes inside of you does not look like the clarity that you think you need to move forward. Because let me tell you, you can have the clarity, the path forward, and then when you take your next action, that thing shifts, because now it opens up more. What you do need though is the direction of where you're going and your 200% commitment of saying yes to that vision, saying yes to that assignment, saying yes to what God has put inside of you. And when you have that level of certainty and commitment of okay, I'm all yours, I'm doing this, I don't know how long it takes, but I know it's gonna happen. And you would have had some evidence or some sort in the past where it has shown you that way. It's just that back then, your stake was probably 100,000, and now your stake is 100 million. It's a couple of zeros, but it's a whole different thing that your mind cannot understand, right? And maybe your mind was never meant to understand anyway. And now with ChatGPT and all this complex data and pattern recognition and processing, ChatGPT does it. What you need to do is tune back to your body, to that knowingness, to that connection, that communion that you have with God, and allowing that to guide you forward. And that's the clarity that you need, right? And so I think we got the message out. And this is wild. This is wild because I've not been in this flow for a while, and really the only seed that was planted was I need to talk about this pain that has just disappeared. Like, I just leave it at that. And so this is also your reminder, if you haven't heard of it, this is the first time you've come across it, I have a 90 days CEO reset for my multi-passionate, out of the box women, leaders, revolutionary creators who are here to make a mark, who is here to leave the impact, to lead a revolution, to make the money, the impact that they're here to make, by being all of them 90 days of clarity, certainty, and an expanded identity of who God has created you to be. If this is speaking to you, if you know, like, yep, gonna work with her, DM me to apply via my Instagram. I'm gonna put the link here. Here, you know where to find the link. I trust you would be sure where to find the link. Tell me about where you are, tell me about you, tell me about your vision, and tell me what do you need most right now, and where we can get down to business. Let's get down to business. Tiesto. All right, so that's a 40 minutes of transmission for y'all, and this is also a message for you. If you're being called to share something, go out, spread your wings to the world. I'll see you next time.